Hi guys, and welcome to an ace tanker for the Super Pershing. I got my original ace tanker in the Super Pershing long before I was YouTubing or streaming. I don't play the tank very much, but it is the tank I have played most. It was my first premium tank. Yes, that goes a long way back considering I pretty much own all the premium tanks now. But this was my first premium tank. This was my first moneymaker. Purchased way back when I didn't know what the hell I was doing in World of Tanks. Ran into the usual problem around Tier 5, Tier 6, where I wasn't earning enough credits and decided to buy a Tier 8 premium tank to earn more credits, but I suppose it was mainly because I had a lot of friends in my community who were already World of Tanks players, who were already playing higher tier tanks, and I couldn't platoon with them. I could platoon with them if they were willing to play low tier tanks, but not if they were going to be playing their higher tier tanks. So I decided to bite the bullet, buy a premium tank, simply so that I could play high tier games with my platoon mates and basically make a bit of money. And in fact, I didn't even know about special matchmaking when I originally bought this tank. So yes, I thought, it's a tier 8, I can play it in tier 10 games. So yeah, my platoon mates weren't too happy that I decided to buy a Super Pershing and wouldn't be very effective in tier 10 games because this tank will never see tier 10 games. So yes, it is the first tank I bought way back when I was a beginner. I'm, as I say, constantly on my stream and in my videos. Most of what I learned about this game, 95% of what I've learned about World of Tanks since I started playing, is by making mistakes. I didn't use any other resources, didn't use YouTube, didn't use streamers, didn't even know what Twitch was back when I was playing World of Tanks for the first time. So everything I learned was from experience and making my own mistakes. And buying a tier 8 premium when I only had about 150, 200 games played was probably a mistake at the time, but consequently it was my only tier 8 premium for a long time, and as a result, it's the tank I have more games in than any other tank. Having said that, I haven't played it for a long time and very rarely play it because I have so many other tanks I now need to play. But on a recent stream where I was working my way towards the Super Pershing Mission, because I have no interest in getting a Super Pershing due to the fact I already own one and didn't sell it when the opportunity arose, I decided I was going to take it out for a rare spin. I only have a 75% crew in here, so I wasn't expecting anything special. The tank was a lot better in the past. Unfortunately, a lot of people decided to sell it because it got nerfed. However, I do not believe it was nerfed to death. I do not believe it's a bad tank. A lot of people will tell you it's a bad tank, but it is not. Its armor isn't as good as it used to be, but it is still very good armor. It's still a medium tank that's slow. It's still a medium tank that you need to play like a heavy tank. But when you put it into context, this tank costs half the price. It costs 50% less than almost all of the other tier 8 premiums. So does that make this tank 50% worse than all the other tier 8 premiums? And the answer is definitely not. This is still a very good tank. In fact, I still say this is a very good tank for a new player. It's a cheap entry into the world of tier 8 premiums. It's the cheapest. You will earn money in this tank, and it's quite inexperience friendly. It's slow, so it's not going to get you into trouble with its speed. It's relatively well armored, so it can forgive bad play, and it's a good introduction to learning how to play heavy tanks, even though it's a medium tank. So I decided, listen, I'm just going to show you guys what you're missing out, because it's not a bad tank. Definitely not as good as it used to be. The upper front plate was nerfed. This thing, upper front plate here, used to be impenetrable. Now pretty much any gun with 200mm or more has no problems going through the upper front plate. The lower front plate was always kind of weak, but it still has its weak spots if you can Look past the spaced armor on the turret. You can see the turret just to the left and right of the gun mantlet, and they are weak spots. The top of the tank, this little ridge, you can just see it above the spaced armor. This is a weak spot on the tank. There's also a weak spot over here, just where you can see that little light right in the middle. Can't really show it because everything's in the way, but you can see that the spaced armor is cut away for a light on the left side of the tank. That is a weak spot if you're up close and personal to a Super Pershing. And then of course there's the machine gun port, which is also a weak spot. So it still has the original weak spots, but I find that the spaced armor on the upper front plate and the turret still work. So as I say, I plan to take this tank out just for a rare spin to see, to show the viewers whether or not this was a good tank and worth getting the Super Pershing mission done for. We found ourselves here in a 47%er on Northwest, and as I say, the medium tower, it is a medium tank that plays like a heavy. It's not particularly fast. I'm playing it with a 75% crew, so I'm not expecting too much, but the most I'm hoping out of this game is that I will be able to demonstrate that the spaced armor is still pretty good. It still works. So even though I'm a medium tank, I'm taking the heavy tank role. Now I know the tank looks quite fast here, but that's because I'm running downhill. You'll see that the tank slows significantly when it's going uphill, but I'm just going to head down here, down to heavy corner, which is kind of a little bit silly in most medium tanks, as this Type 59 is going to discover. But we're doing, 39, 40 kilometers an hour along the flat here. And I'm moving up to heavy corner. So I get spotted, and I do want to point out before I get to this corner, the regular ammo only has 170 mils of penetration, but the premium ammo has 258. So this is one of those premium tanks that you do need to fire premium ammo in, depending on the tanks that are in front of you. And a KV-4 appears, so I'm already on premium ammo to deal with the KV-4, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I try to track him in place, I do, and I angle, and he bounces on my upper front plate, which is supposed to be garbage, but if you angle it, it still works. So I put another one in, track him, and again he bounces. So the armor is still pretty good. Of course, depending on what tank you're facing. So I go for a shot on his cupola. It is a stock turret, so that shot probably would have gone in with regular AP, but I'm not going to switch mid-reload. So we get another shot in. And again, he puts a shot in and misses, or bounces I should say. And we've got a relatively fast reload. Go for his weak spot, and there we go. We are up to 1600 damage. I have done 100% of damage to that KV-4. He has put 3 shots into me and bounced all 3. So I've switched back to regular ammo now, and we're going to keep advancing. So T-32 on the hill. Oh, I've just been spotted. So there's a Borsig. Do I have shots? No, I don't have shots on the Borsig. I do have shots on the Arl. Miss my shot. I see that the Borsig is retreating, so that's fine by me. And this armor works up close, as you saw against the KV-4, and it's working fine at long distance versus the Arl V39. Someone else takes the Arl out. Still no shots on the T-32. The Borsig is starting to inch forward again. But he's behind some cover, so I need to close the distance. So I'm waiting for this T-32 to retreat. He's under a lot of pressure. He's about to be flanked. I take a blind shot on the chance that he was falling back, and I have no idea whether or not that shot went in. But again, we're just waiting for him to retreat, see if we can get a couple of shots into his side. And then decide, no, he's probably not going to fall back. And meanwhile, we've got a Borsig we need to worry about. So we're going uphill, and you can see my speed really starting to drop off. We're doing 11 kilometers up here, down to 10, 9. So this tank really suffers when it goes uphill. But that was never a problem, or that was exactly the same problem with the tank in the original version before it was nerfed. So it doesn't make it a bad tank. There's still lots of really slow tanks. So get a shot onto the rear of the T-32, and then a Borsig appears in front of me. Now I don't realize that it's a second Borsig. At the time I was playing this, I thought, ooh, okay, the Borsig is relocated. So let's just advance on this T-32. And unfortunately, the Borsig I didn't spot reappears to put a shot into my side. And no matter how good the armor on the Super Pershing is frontally, it's just a medium tank to the side. So I take a big hit. Bounced a kill shot on the T-32 and someone else took him out, and then our Borsig takes out their Borsig. So again, I'm still advancing. I'm debating whether or not to go straight up or whether to head over to the right. I decide to go right. So there's still a few nasty TDs on the enemy team. They've got an ISU-152, another Borsig. They've got a Nashorn somewhere that hasn't been spotted yet. And they've got an Object 416. But we're doing pretty well, considering this is a 47%er. But the game is not won yet. So again, monstrously slow upslopes, 8 kilometers an hour, but we get there eventually. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, if this is going to be your first premium tank, that slow speed means you don't get into trouble. So, wondering if I have a shot on the Borsig, and I do, but our Borsig takes him out, and then an ISU-152 takes out our friendly Borsig. So, yeah, obviously the 152 has fallen back. So now I need to be careful. And the ISU-152 is not where I was expecting him to be. I thought he was going to be up on the ridge, so I advance. And then I'm in the open. I've just made a big mistake. There's a 416. I'm trying to get below his gun line and then turn to face him. And damn it, I left myself open to a shot from the ISU. I've been tracked. I repair my tracks, or my crew repairs my tracks, and I fall back to be safe from the ISU. I'm on 285 health. I've just lost all my health. So I'm moving, and this Object 416 is bouncing. And a Nashorn appears, and the Nashorn misses me. I'm trying to stay angled towards the object, and I need to deal with the Nashorn, and I'm constantly moving so they can't aim at my weak spots. So take out the Nashorn. Now it's time to work on the 416. I'm looking for somewhere I can pen him. But again, he's bouncing. We've taken 14 hits so far, and we haven't taken... we've bounced most of them. Only 2 shots have penned. So I advance, because there's a T-28 prototype backing me up. I miss my shot on the move. He knows what to do. He's turned around me. I'm keeping my armor facing him, and thankfully the T-28 backs me up and takes him out before he gets a killing shot in. So that was my first game in the Super Pershing in probably 4 or 5 months. It is the tank I've played more on my account than any other tank, simply because it was my first premium tank, and it was my main money maker for a long time. Really happy to pick up a mastery badge and steel wall in the Super Pershing, supposedly a bad tank. I got 1256 XP for that game, 3393, so almost 3400 damage with 2 kills. I received, and this is the people, I'm so sick of people saying the Super Pershing's been nerfed to death. I received 14 hits. I took 2 hits. In fact, all of the damage I took from the Borsig and from the ISU-152 was my fault, not the armors. I ignored basically a Borsig. I neglected to see it. There were 2 Borsigs on the enemy team. I took a shot in the side from a Borsig as a result, and I advanced just a fraction too far and gave an ISU-152 an easy shot on my side. Again, driver error, nothing to do with the bad armor on this tank. And if you take those 2 shots out of that game, it means I received 12 hits and basically no damage. They are the only 2 shots in that game until I faced the Object 416, who came down off the hill to put 1 shot into me, but basically every other shot bounced. The armor still works on this tank. I don't care what anyone says, and I don't care how many players sold their tanks in disgust. The Super Pershing's armor is not as good as it used to be, but it still works. We spotted 2, damaged 5, and destroyed 2. Did 409 assistance damage, and still earned 96, almost 97,000 credits. It is a good money earner. It is a solid tank. It is half the price of all the other tier 8 premiums, and it's still a good tank. It's not a great tank, but it's still a really good introduction to tier 8 premiums. Obviously it was my first game of the day because I hadn't played it in about 5 months, but 1884 XP with a premium account on a ×5 event left me with 9,420. The Super Pershing, it's still good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.